Hey there, today we are working on a rustic fabric frosty hat. Now those of you that have been subbed to my channel for a long time, this is your lucky day because I know you've been asking for it for a couple of years, but you know, Craft Bazaar gets in the way and this does take a little bit to make, especially for filming, but we're going to get through it today, so woo woo! So happy for you. Those of you that, you know, are just new to my channel, hopefully you enjoy this. It is a bestseller at my craft shows. So we're going to do this live. It will be a long video. So maybe grab a snack, maybe a little bit of caffeine, and let's get going. But first, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. If this is your first time here and you don't want to miss out on any further DIY craft videos from me, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and notification bell for future updates from my channel, Fabric777's DIY by Design. Now we're really going to get started. So, what you want for material is just black felt. You don't really want to buy those little square sheets at like Walmart for 29 cents because this is the hat is taller than those square sheets. Buy like a yard, I don't know, you'll get quite a few hats out of it, or half a yard if you just want to make a couple, but you know, buy it by off the bolt, okay? And so for the bottom hat, the brim or the, you know, hat part, you need two pieces, and what I did is I just grabbed a lid from a plastic bowl and used that for my shape. If you want to know exact measurements and kind of work with what I'm working with today, the lid, this width across, measures about almost 9.5 inches, so somewhere around 9-10 inches. Find that lid, measure across, cut two. All right, two pieces. For the hat, it's literally, and because it's black, it's going to show everything. It's literally just, I don't have a specific pattern for it. I just kind of draw it by hand. It's real easy. It measures about 7 3/4 inch wide. The top portion is about 12.5, 13 inches, and the top longest portion, the shortest portion from the top edge is about 10.5. Okay, 10 1/4, 10.5. That's it. So here's the gist. I'm just going to kind of show you how I make it, how I draw it. If you want to, I'm just going to use a piece of copy paper here, but this too short. You might want to get, like, you know, if you can get your hands on a big sheet of construction paper, or you know, that brown paper that you can wrap packages in, or just an old piece of wrapping paper or butcher paper. You need something a little bit bigger than an 8.5 by 11, unless you want a tiny frosty hat. And I basically just, I will do it with a ruler for you, but I just do it by hand. So what you want, just kind of start at your bottom edge. We'll take the ruler, we're going to draw it like all the way to the top, kind of a straightish line. It doesn't matter, because the more what do I want to say, the curves and fun that it has, the more wonkier it is, the more cuter it is. But just to show you an exact how I do it, we're going to make it all nice and straight. So top to bottom, let's make a line. Okay, easy, right? Let's bring my camera in so you can see a little better. So we've got a line. Probably should have done that in pen, huh? Let's try that in pen for you, just so it's a little bit easier to see, top and bottom. Okay, we've got a line. So then we're going to come over to the other side, about the same width from the edge. We're going to come down just a little bit, come down about 1 inch. I'm a little bit too close because I want you to see it. Come down about 1 inch from that top edge. Okay, make it easy on yourself. Come down about 1 inch. Draw your line. Okay, now we want the top edge. You can go straight across if you want. I don't necessarily like that. So basically what I'm going to do is just go from this top edge and I'm going to curve down to the shorter edge, right? So we're just going to kind of come around. We're going to kind of curve it down. That's my pattern. Okay? Cut that out. See? So you got your straight line. Cut it. Curve from the top down, kind of like a sort of backward S, and that's your pattern. Easy. Cut 2 of those. As big a size as you want. This is kind of the smaller size that we're working with today. And I know it looks big right now, but you know, we have to turn it inside out. So, options. Sewing machine, preferable. Just go ahead, leave your bottom open. right? And you're going to sew all the edges of the hat all the way around. Okay, so you can use a sewing machine, you can sew by hand. You can use a hot glue gun if you want, but if you use a hot glue gun, you're not going to be doing one of the upcoming processes because we actually bake this in an oven. You're not going to want to bake it in an oven if you use a glue gun. You're just going to get the hot glue everywhere, right? So you're going to have to change that technique up a little bit. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But you could hot glue it if you're not a sewer, but you're just not going to be the next kind of process coming up in a few steps. You're going to be making a little bit of an alteration to it. Okay, so sew around it, done. Okay, then you're going to turn it inside out. You don't really have to, I mean, if you get it a little bit wide, and I usually, or if you're sewing by hand, I'm usually about 1/4 inch away from the edge. Okay, 1/2 inch. If you've got a little excess fabric, you can kind of cut that off, but you don't really need to. But just so you know, take away a little bit of the thickness. Okay, so then you're going to turn this inside out. Right, make sure you get all your points going. I might take my little pair of scissors up here so I get right up in that little point, so I get a nice little pointy area. Okay, and then again up to this part. Get it out there and get that point in there. There we go, nice pointy area, and there's our little hat. Okay. As you can see on this one, and I often do that, I drew this straight for you, okay, this pattern, but when I draw it, and I draw this curve S, I usually actually, and I'm going to show you, can you see good? Okay, I don't always go straight down, okay, I kind of come down, and as I'm getting about 3/4, I kind of curve it in a little bit. Okay, so you're coming down on your hat, you're curving it in just a little bit. Okay, so if I was to kind of cut that out, you can go straight, it's not a big deal. I just add a little character to it, so I curve it. Okay, see how it's kind of curved in. All right, same thing on this side. Going back to the pattern for you. Kind of curve it in just a little bit, doesn't take much. Okay, good, and then you're cutting this part out, obviously. Okay, so now it's not quite straight, it has a little bit of a curve in at the bottom. Okay, so that's what we have here, it's a little bit of a curve in. And look how automatically that got like a little bit smaller, right? Let me bring my camera up a little bit. So now it more fits the hat on the bottom. See, now it's a little bit more, especially here, a little bit more in relation with the bottom pieces. So now it looks a little bit better. All right, we're going to set that aside. We're going to work on the bottom. Now, couple of options. You can either just sew the bottom, all right, with sewing machine or by hand, and you can leave the edges out, or you can sew it by hand, leave a little bit of an opening and turn it inside out so it looks like this, like the top, you know, just like we did the top hat. Sew around the bottom, leave a little bit of an opening, and then turn it inside out so it matches up here, okay? Or again, like I said, sew around the whole perimeter, don't leave an opening, and just leave it like that. Or we can do a little decorative stitching, which is what I like to do, and it's called the blanket stitch. I am going to use white thread for contrast. This is like a crochet thread. You can get it at Walmart. I usually get like because it'll say on the label the size of the thread. I usually get like a size 3 or a 5. Cheap. I get black, of course. I've got black here, but for the video we're going to use white so you can see a little bit of a contrast on we're just going to do a little bit on this hat. And then you're going to want a needle. These are like, I usually get like the embroidery needles or the doll needles because let me bring it down and show you, it's got a thicker opening in the eye so you can get that thicker string through, and they are a little bit longer. Okay, so like I said, embroidery needle or doll needle or darning needle, those are kind of the words they might say when you check the sewing section at like Walmart. Okay, of course, long enough thread, and it's going to be really long. I usually do probably about 3 feet of thread. You cut a lot of it off, but I want to make sure I have enough all the way through. So I literally cut out about 36 inches of thread. This is just a little bit for, you know, the showing of this. You want to tie a little knot in it. So, you know, this is not the correct length. It's just to show you a little bit of what we're doing here. This is called the blanket stitch. Okay, so what you want to do, start anywhere on the hat. You want to go through one layer first. You're going to bring it about maybe a 1/4 inch away from the edge. Okay, about a 1/4 inch, one layer. You're only going to work one layer right here to start. Bring your needle through so that your knot is on the inside. Okay, now you're going to kind of tuck that knot down and put both pieces together, and you're going to come back through the back side. We're going to be working back to front. Okay, you're going to bring this needle right back where you started. Okay, and bring it right back as close as you can to the same hole, working back to front. Okay, so when I come back around, it already kind of loops over the edge of the hat, right? Back to front and pull it through. Okay, just like that. And right before you pull it tight, you're going to take your needle, come from the right side, take your needle and pull it through that loop, and then pull it tight. Okay? It's going to look funny at first, but that's our stitch. Okay? So, do you remember what we did? And the inside, you pull it through, then you go over the top, through the back side, through both layers. Bring that stitch right back through where you first started on the single layer. Before you pull it through, run your needle through. So now what we're going to do is kind of repeat that process. We're going to again start from the back to the front. We're going to come over about maybe another 1/4 inch again. All right, from the back to the front, we're going to pull the needle through both layers. We're going to pull it most of the way through, just like we did the first stitch. Okay, so you've got this little loop here. Come from the right side, and you're going to pull your needle through. Okay? So now you've got this cute little stitch coming. See that? Let's do a couple more. Again, to the back side, both layers, about a 1/4 inch away. Bring your needle through. You've got a little loop left here. Right side to the left. Bring your needle through that loop and pull. Okay, let's do a couple more stitches. Back to the front. Sometimes I get a little wider and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I go about a 1/2 inch, doesn't matter. This is probably actually looking about a 1/2 inch apart. Back to the front. Bring your needle from the right side to the left through the loop and pull it closed. Again, back to the front. Pull it all the way through till you come up with a little small loop. Bring your needle through the right side, through that loop, and pull it tight. One more time, back to the front. Pull it all the way through till you get a little loop. Needle from the right side, through the loop to the left, and pull it tight. You're going to continue that process all the way around. Okay, I'm going to do this on my other hat. I've got another hat bottom cut out. I'm going to do it with the black thread. I'm going to do it off camera, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm almost all the way around. I just want you to see, I've just got that little bit left. I just want you to see, easy peasy to close it off. Get one more stitch in there. Go a little bit, leave me a little bit of room. One more stitch. Right to left. And then what I do, I just kind of come to the back side, and I'm going to make like, that loop we just made, you know, you have that little string right at the top, right? That little loop at the top. I'm going to bring my thread back through, and I'm just going to make a little knot. Okay? So you see what I did? I pulled it tight, and then I brought my thread around to the back side and up through that previous loop, and then I'm just going to come through this little loop once, twice, and pull. okay? And so now you have a little, I know, going to be hard to see, but there you can kind of see it, little bitty knot. So then what I'm going to do is cut off the excess. I'm going to leave a little bit of string hanging, okay? Cut off the excess. You've got a little bit of string hanging. And then what I do is I just kind of take that same needle and I'm going to find a space right in here, right? Kind of, there's usually a little space where we've been sewing, and I'm going to tuck that knot right inside as best as you can so we can, that knot doesn't show. I like to hide it off. So tuck it right inside. There we go. Got that knot tucked right inside, and then sometimes I just go in and just a little dab of my Fabri-Tac glue and kind of poke that glue inside. Poke it in there so it kind of adheres to that knot, and then I pinch that little opening closed. Okay, so I hope you understood what I did. We got to our last loop and then took it around to the back side and pulled up one of these little notches here. One of these little, you know, strings, because you know we have the strings that go in between along the edges of your hat, and just made and looped it through a couple of times to make our knot, and then poke it right back in that opening underneath that string. Okay, hope that's understandable. If it's not understandable, basically make a knot and poke it back through an opening in the fabric. Okay, all right, so that's ready. Now, let's get on with the next process of the hat. Here is the process if you did not sew anything, okay, and you hot glued everything. You're not going to do this process, because what we're going to do next is we're going to start the process of getting this ready to bake in the oven, okay? I showed this before on a video of mine doing a Santa hat. I'll link that down below for you. Basically the same process, but if you've hot glued and you're going to bake it in the oven, what is that oven going to do? It's just going to melt your hot glue all over, so you cannot do this process. So another option of, and here is a disclaimer, I have not tried this. I am just common sense figuring it should work. If you have hot glued your stuff together, you're going to need to get like those spray stiffeners or those spray glues you can get, and simply spray your pieces and then let it dry, and then spray it again, let it dry, spray it again, and I would do 4 or 5 coats, letting it completely dry in between, and then it should get stiff. It may not get as stiff as what we're going to do baking in the oven, but should be stiff enough. Another option is, if you don't want to even use a stiffener, you can simply stuff your hat. Just stuff it with stuffing. Your material, you know, it'll be flexible, but stuff your hat so that it's still open, okay? Stuff your hat. So there's 2 options. You can use like a spray glue or like a spray fabric stiffener, but I would do like 4 or 5, even 6 coats, letting it completely cure in between. Or if you want to skip that step altogether, stuff your hat nice and full so it's a nice open hat, and then you can glue your hat to your base. Okay, so that's the option if you've hot glued, or maybe you didn't hot glue, you sewed all this but you still don't want to bake it in the oven. Those are your 2 options. Okay, so for those of us that do want to do a little baking, here is the next step. So what you're going to need is a large bag. I've just got, this is like a 2-gallon bag. A 1-gallon bag you can find at Dollar Tree will probably work very well. So you're going to need a large Ziploc bag. All right, you're going to need, I have 2 couple of bottles of just plain white glue. All right, get these wherever you want. You're going to need some water. And then what I usually do is I like to put in a tube of instant coffee. These can be found at Walmart. They're like $1 for a box. You get 7 of them. So I like to add in a tube of coffee. Just because it gives a little flavor. Also, the coffee on the hats and things as you bake them are going to make these cool little kind of brown spots on them as you bake them. I like that, so we'll discuss that a little bit in further detail. You can add 1 or 2 of these. Sometimes I even add a little bit of cinnamon to the mix, just to make it smell even better, kind of a coffee cinnamon mix. But for this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and add 2 because I'm going to do both bottles of glue. You might want some gloves. All right. Let's move on with this process. So let me put on my gloves first. You don't have to do gloves, but you're going to kind of be squishing this material inside the bag. So, you know, gloves can be found at Dollar Tree. Of course, nice and cheap. You don't have to do these kind of gloves. You can use those great big rubber gloves if you want as well. You're going to dump, if you're just going to do like 1 or 2 hats, 1 bottle of glue is enough. So you're going to dump that bottle of glue down in the bottom, get it all the way out. And I think I got this glue at Walmart. It was on sale for like 30-some cents. So it's really, really cheap. 1 bottle of glue to about 4 to 6 ounces of water. These bottles of glue are 4 ounces. So, you know, 1 bottle of glue, 1 thing of water. If you don't want your hats as stiff as these are going to turn out, I would suggest adding twice the amount of water. Okay? Because these are going to come pretty stiff. But minimum 4 ounces of water. Sometimes I go 6. There's no rhyme or reason to my measurements. I think on my other video for the Santa hats, I said it's 6 ounces. So 4 to 6. But at least a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, and then you're going to add in, if you want, you don't have to add any of this in, packet of instant coffee. Okay, that's going to be your ratio, and you're going to mix it up. If you're going to do more than 1 or 2 hats, I would suggest, and you can do it all here together in one if you want, to do another bottle of glue, which I will do right now. So now we're going into a double batch. Coffee smells good. If you're not a coffee person, add cinnamon. That smells always really good, right? Okay, add in some water. Now when we add the fabric in, it really soaks the stuff up. So that's why I kind of add a little bit more water. But we're going to do a 1-to-1 ratio. I'm going to check my stuff here in a minute. I'm going to check my thickness, so that's where the little bit of more water might come in. I'm going to do 1 more thing of coffee. Hands are already sticky. Close your bag up. We got a nice gooey mess down there. Depending on how thick or so it is, like I said, we'll add some more water. And we're just going to mix it up. Actually, it feels pretty good right there. 1-to-1 ratio is fine. And then you come out with this putrid, ugly color. But it works great on the hats. This will do probably about 4 hats. Yeah, like I said, about 2 hats per thing of glue. Okay, so here's where the gloves are going to come in handy. First step, we're going to toss in our bottom brim of a hat. Toss that in. I would go ahead and, as an afterthought to tell you, have a little piece of tinfoil just kind of sitting out to the side so you can lay your hat on, okay? Just for now. And just completely soak that hat. Just completely get it in that glue, water, coffee / cinnamon mixture, okay? Then, I know it's a nice mess, right? Let me open this up. Bring your hat up, looks disgusting, and completely just wring that back out. You really don't need it. I mean, look at me, I'm going to actually like wring it out. Because you want to save as much liquid as you can, you know, for the rest of your hat. And this doesn't need to be wet. It just needs to be coated, right, in the glue. Okay, wring it completely out, all right? And then set it off on that tinfoil, all right? Let's do our hat. Our hat's going to go in, same technique. Okay. come in here. And I apologize, this is so gooey between your fingers. And that's why we have the gloves. Yeah, it's so gluey and almost slimy feeling. Yeah, you know, glue and water mix. Okay. All right. Get that out. And then, okay. So now, take these off. I'm going to set my mixture to the side, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do next to get ready for baking. Your oven is going to be preheated to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so those of you that are in other countries, I don't know Fahrenheit to Celsius ratio, but 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and what you're going to do, I bake mine, you bake it on tin foil, but I will use like old or cookie sheets underneath it just for stability. Okay, bring that in. I know, isn't it lovely? But I keep it just for this purpose. Kind of put your tin foil, and I just buy, this is just plain old tin foil from like Dollar Tree. It's thin, it's cheap, you don't want to spend too much on it because we use quite a bit of it. So you can bake like, you know, one top and bottom at a time, however you want to do it. Like if I'm going to do multiples, I might do all the tops and all the bottoms, or however you want. You could probably fit 2 sets in your oven, however big your oven is. Kind of smooth this out. Okay, and so what we want to do, first thing is on your hat, let me smooth it out a bit. It's going to be wrinkly, and that's okay because we want it to look kind of rustic, right? So the first thing you're going to do on your hat is, I know it's black, so hard to see, I'm sorry. The bottom of it about 1 inch up, okay? You're going to fold it about 1 inch up. Just fold it up like this, okay? Fold it. Make a little cuff right there about 1 inch up. Be easier to view coming down a little bit, all right? Got that part? About 1 inch up. Because then as it bakes, what's going to make it easier for us is this will be all stiff once it dries, but then we can cut slits in it and fold it in to help us glue to our hat, all right? So fold the end up about 1 inch or so, all right? And then what we want to do is when you bake it, you don't want to just bake it flat, right? Because then your hat's not flat. So we're going to just stuff it with some tin foil. And so what you're going to do, I have saved some leftover tin foil, but you can also, you know, obviously use the cheap tin foil, and you're going to just roll it into a loose ball, okay, just nice and loose, all right? And you're going to stuff it clear down and make it as, you know, big as you need to fit. And you're just going to stuff it down into the hat, okay? And I'm going to do 2 of them. So I've got it stuffed clear down at the end. I'm going to make one more kind of loose tin foil ball, all right, and stuff it in. Get it to fit. There we go, loose tin foil ball, right, in just like that. It's not going to be exactly, especially when you lay it down, it might flatten a little bit. That is okay. That's just going to give it character. And you're going to just lay it on your tin foil. Now for the hat, I like it to as well have a little bit, I'm so sorry if that tin foil is really shining through my lights. I like it to have a little bit of character. So again, I will use some tin foil. Right, I'm going to pull some off here now. And I'm going to make like a tin foil tube, okay? Like a tin foil log or tube like this, okay? Because what I like to do is I like one piece to kind of have a little bit of a bend in it like this. Because when it goes on our hat, that bend is going to be up, right? When we get our hat all together to decorate, we're going to just have a little flip in our hat, okay? Little flip in the brim. So what I'm going to do is just place this log right underneath. I might want to go a little bit flatter. You don't need it too stiff and up. Kind of a flat log, and just kind of right underneath, just like that, okay? So it has a little bit of a roll in it. Let me turn it sideways so you can see. Okay, just like that, just kind of laying right up against the edge, a little bit of brim. And I like this side to kind of have a little bit too, so what I might do is this side is laying over the log, Let's do one more little log, flat, and then curl this side just up a little bit, and just kind of, just a little bit, you don't want too much, and just kind of lay it on top of that log. So that one is like that, and then this one is over, kind of curled over the edge, and this one's just slightly laying on top, just to give our hat a little bit. And you can even kind of lift up, because the glue's on it, right? So you can kind of lift up your little edges, you know, and just kind of let them poke up a little bit. So I've just kind of twisted it up, pulled it up a little bit, and then we're going to bake it. So like I said, 250 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're Celsius, I apologize, you'll have to figure that out. Got our balls in there. So what you're going to do is you're going to bake this about 20 minutes, okay? And at the end of 20 minutes, you're going to go into your oven and you're going to flip these, okay? And you're going to bake it about another 20 minutes. Now, because we put, and even without the coffee, because we put a little bit of coffee in it, or if you put a little bit of cinnamon in it, and because you're baking it in the glue, the part that's laying down on the tinfoil as it bakes, and I wish I had one here to show you, but as it bakes, you might notice little dark spots, okay, from the glue or from the coffee. You know, and if you don't want those dark spots, and I know these are black, but you're going to be able to see them because they're going to look like brownish dark spots. All right. Those don't bother me because I think it adds character, and it's because of the part that's laying directly against the tinfoil. If you want to avoid like the little brown spots from the glue or coffee that you've got in your mix, then I would flip these about every 10 minutes. So the less it sits on one side, the less likely chance you're going to get those brown spots. So if you want to try to avoid those, flip them about every 10 minutes. You want about 40 minutes total in your baking. Now, once this is done and you take it out of the oven, they're not going to be quite stiff yet. They're still going to be a little bit of soft and flexible. So I would set those to the side and let them completely dry overnight. And then once you overnight is done, the next morning you're going to pick them up, and those things are going to be all stiff as, I mean, like stiff. Okay, so when you take them out of the oven, they're still a little soft and flexible. Don't think you didn't do it right. Set those aside. Let them completely dry overnight. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then when these are all done, I guess I'm going to come back in the morning and we'll show you what we've got going on. Okay, so we have our hat baked, and I want to apologize because I know this is a long video, probably an hour or a little more as we finish up, but you know, I've been begged the last few years to get this tutorial made, and I'm usually so busy with craft bazaars, and it takes so much time, and you know, to prep and instructions for you, and you know, and then a long video for you. So I apologize that this is long, but you know, you asked for it, you're getting it. So I know you can see all these little things. First off, it's out of the oven, sat overnight. Take the balls, the tinfoil balls out, and you can feel how stiff it is. I don't even stuff it. It's stiff enough. The brim, stiff enough, okay? So remember I was talking about you'll get kind of these little brown spots. That's from the baking, you know. So if you don't want spots like these, like I said, they don't bother me. And plus, you can kind of cover them up with our decorating a little bit. Then I would suggest, like I said, to flip it around every 10 minutes or so. Because, you know, this is all gluey, right? As we put it on the tinfoil, and then that glue and water mixture sits against that tinfoil. So you're going to get these spots unless you flip it a little more often. Okay? And smells very yummy like coffee. So, you know, if you add cinnamon or something like that, it's perfect. So let's move on to the next step. Remember how I had you flip this up for baking. So what you're going to do is flip it back down. A little bit hard to do. All right. And then you're going to make slits every couple of inches right up to that fold line. Okay. And this is basically going to help us to, you know, glue it down to the brim. So just every couple of inches, right up to that fold line. And once you cut those are probably going to just try and pop right back up. Try not to cut, you know, across where you've sewn. Okay. And then what we're going to do, I use a kind of a double method. We're going to use a little bit of hot glue, and then I also use this Beacon Fabri-Tac liquid glue, okay? So we'll put the liquid glue kind of in the middle and the hot glue around the edges to kind of just help hold it down while the liquid glue sets. So once you've got your slits in it, you know, bring it back in and really crease and fold it, because we want those to go to the inside. They're going to try and pop back up because they are so stiff from baking. But we need something, right, to glue, somehow to glue to our brim. So, and the slits will help kind of, you know, fold over. My hot glue is not a dual glue gun. It's really, really hot, so I usually have to work fast. But get those over. Okay, and then I'm going to add some of my liquid glue. See, they just want to go stiff. So we'll make it work. It does every time. Every year I do it, it'll work. Kind of right through the center. I'm going to add a lot of glue. None of this gets seen. Be generous with it. A lot of the glue toward the edge. Don't put it more toward the hat part. Put it toward the edge, because if it leaks underneath, nobody sees it. And then what we'll do is add a little bit of hot glue around toward the hat part to help hold it in place, like I said, while the liquid glue sets. Sorry, phone message. Okay, hot glue. Okay, here's where I have to work kind of fast. My hot glue sets too fast. And then I would just recommend letting this set a little bit. Okay. Get it right in the center. Flip those under. Setting. There we go. In the center as best as possible, and hold that sucker down. Let it set for a couple of minutes to make sure that's adhered good. If you need to, you can kind of come back under and fix it a little more, add a little more glue, because this does all kind of get hidden a little bit. If it's a little bit rough, if a little one didn't stick under very good, it will get hidden with our fabric. Okay, so let that sit for a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've let it sit up. It doesn't matter, like I said, those glue globs, it's all going to be hidden, okay? So now you just need to decide which direction, according to maybe the bends in your brim, or, you know, the shape of your hat, how you want to, you know, what's going to be your front and back. I'm going to put this as my front because I like the little bit of that curl in the front, okay? And we're going to start decorating this much like the mini hat ornament that I put out not too long ago. If you missed it, I will put the link down below for you. We're just going to do it on a larger scale. So first for things is we need to put some ribbon down at the bottom. You need 3 coordinating fabrics / ribbon. Okay, so what I've got, I'm going to be using this fabric, and it's about 2 inches wide, about 24 inches long. I've went ahead and like pulled the strings on the side of the fabric to kind of give it a nice rustic feel all the way around. Pulled the edges of the fabric. I've also got some striped fabric, and I did the same thing. I pulled threads off of the ends. If you don't know what that means, you just take a little thread here, find an edge, pull on it, and then you can pull little threads off just to fray all around the edges. So there's 2 coordinating fabrics. I usually will do 2 fabrics, and then I will do 1 ribbon. This is a wide ribbon, 1.5 inch wide. It doesn't matter how wide you get. It doesn't matter if it's wired or not. I will usually tend to go for the wired only because I cut the wire off both sides, because that will automatically start to fray the ribbon, and I like all those pieces of strings and stuff just hanging off of the hat. So I tend to go for wired ribbon, cut the wire off both sides, let it just naturally fray and leave it. I don't cut them off, just leave it. So we're going to start, and that is about 36 inches long. Okay, the ribbon is about 36 inches long. Again, this is about 2 inches wide and 24 inches long, and these squares are just about a 2 by 2 square. So we're going to start with covering the brim first down at the bottom. Just kind of put your fabric in half, kind of find the bend, halfway point. I'm going to come up a little bit. There we go. That way you know kind of where the center is. Start on the opposite end of the hat. So one end is going to have all our decor, the opposite end is not, right? So find the fold in your fabric about the 12-inch mark. Bring it around, let it lay a little bit on that brim, right? Because that will help cover our little bit of glue. So let it lay a little bit on that brim. Perfect. Not too much because it tries to curl up, but just kind of let it lay on there. See how it's just laying on there? It's not going to be straight and beautiful. It's going to take on the curves of the hat. All right. So we're going to go ahead and just glue that down. I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac on this. So add some glue on the hat part. You can use your hot glue, of course. I will tend to go to the hot glue when we're doing all the picks and things. Sometimes I do a mixture of both. For this video, I'll probably just use the hot glue on that. I like liquid glue on the fabric because the fabric is so super thin, and the glue won't add, you know, those hot glue bumps beneath the fabric. There we go, and look at that. We are covered up. Okay, and just bring it all the way around close to that center seam, and then all I do is I just, going to be hard to see, let me put this ribbon down here. All I do is I just kind of tie a little half knot. Okay, just tie a little half knot. Flip your fabric so it's right. All this will kind of get covered up. And leave it like that for a minute. Okay? Just a little half knot. And yeah, I want a half knot. I don't want a full knot because I want to be able to maneuver it around our ribbon. Okay, so just leave it a half knot for now. I'm going to go ahead and glue a little bit right down here onto that brim. Just because it's wanting to flip up there. That will get covered. All right, now let's real easy move to our ribbon. What you're going to do is just make a double bow. I make a very easy double bow. Figure out how long you want it and just see if I can make this. So you've got your ribbon toward you, right? Okay. And then just make a loop underneath. You still have the end toward you. Okay. Going to be a little bit smaller loop. It's probably about a 3-inch loop. Come back over the top. So you have another loop, so now you're looking like this. That one's a little bit bigger. And then come back over the top again, so you have like a double loop. Over the top again. Now, I'm too short over here, so I've got to adjust. I need a smaller loop. But that's how you make it, and this is how you learn, right? Because I like a little bit of a long tail. Alright, so loop it. Smaller loop. Okay, now we're probably a couple-inch loop. Another loop over the top, flip it back, loop over the top. Now that's perfect. Now I have longer tails. Okay, easy. And just push it together. Just like that. Push it together. And then what we're going to do is you can use a piece of string, a piece of wire, whatever you want. Kind of bring these loops down a little bit and just pinch it close and tie it. I'm going to use a piece of wire. In fact, what I'm going to use is the wire that I cut off the edge of this ribbon. It's perfect. Okay, bring it around, tie it. It's not going to look perfect, but that's okay. We're going to be gluing in and around this thing. Okay, twist it. You just want to keep it closed. Okay, cut off your little excess pieces. There we go. Cute little bow. It's in the wire so you can maneuver it around. And kind of fix your little loops a little bit. I'm going to make this loop come out. And see, as I'm messing with it, all the strings coming off. I love that. But you don't have to cut your wire ends off if you don't want. Okay, so now we have a little cute bow. 4 loops. Open that sucker up. There. Alright. There it is. And all my strings hanging off in all their glory. I think that adds to the rustic. Again, you don't have to do it. So then what we're going to do, so we have this little half knot. What I like to do is kind of, and you can do this however you want, I like to take it and I don't put it in a knot because I kind of hot glue it. It's going to be hard to explain, but you've got it sitting like this. I hot glue this top one kind of sideways. Okay? Hot glue it sideways and kind of down at the bottom. Alright, so you've got your knot, turn it sideways, but however you want, of course, like I said. And I glue it sort of sideways so that it's kind of sticking up on its end a little bit. And a knot would probably do that fine, but I want to maneuver it a little bit. But you can certainly just do a knot and call it good. Okay, and then you're going to take the bow we made, we're going to hot glue it in place. Kind of right over that spot. Right here. Just holding it a minute. Okay, and the reason that I have that over that one underneath where I kind of glued to the side, because I want it to kind of come out to the side and the back, and when we actually glue a little bit behind it, it will kind of help hold that out to the side a little bit. Do you see what I'm saying? Instead of just laying flat, we'll glue, I like mine to be finished off back here, so I'll glue just a little bit of greenery and pine cones, and it'll kind of help hold that up a little bit. Now this is too long for me, okay, so I'm going to cut it off. I cut it off maybe about an inch or so past the brim of the hat. I'll usually make one side, you know, maybe a little bit longer than the other side. And then I want to refray those edges, so I'm going to grab some strings and pull. Grab some strings and pull. Perfect. I will probably adjust the length on these near the end. So that is done for now. We'll come back to it. Now we want to add some cute little patches on the top. And again, you don't have to add patches if you don't want to. And that's where these little squares come in handy. Lay that on that ribbon there. There we go. And I rust my own safety pins. I rust my own wire. My bells. I still buy some rusty bells for certain sizes. I'll have that link down below for you as well if you want to do that, or you can just put regular safety pins in it, or you don't have to do any. I'm down. I've got to re-rust, so I have one big one and one small one, but what the heck, that makes the hat look cute, right? So all I'm basically going to do is I'm going to take a rusty safety pin, and I'm going to take one. You can see how I actually rust it. I'm going to take 2 of my rusty bells, and like I said, I'll have the link down below for you. I'm going to run a bell through the safety pin, and then I'm going to do my stripes up and down, and then I'm just going to run it through the safety pin, through kind of diagonal through the middle of that patch, just like this. I'm actually going to kind of move the bell up and over. There we go. Just like that. Okay, I'm going to do that on both of them. And I think I'll just do the little smaller pin on top and the larger on the bottom on the hat. There we go. Just like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to place them. Look at my little coffee glue spots. Like I said, doesn't bother me if you see a little bit. I'm just going to glue these. I usually do one direction and one the other direction, just like that. Again, I'm going to use my liquid glue for this. Kind of place one down here. And then one up top. There we go. And see, a little bit of that stuff shows. I don't mind one bit. And then sometimes what I like to do is, I've got some brown chalk ink. I would make sure you get chalk ink. Those of you that do scrapbooking crafters, you know chalk ink is. This is old company color box, but you know, there's other things out there that have chalk ink because the pigment ink takes too long to dry. You can see the loveliness of that ink pad. I like to rustic up this a little bit. You could actually, even if you wanted, just like take some you know, tea or like put it in some water, dilute it a little bit, take a paintbrush and rub it on. So that would be a way to do it. If you don't want to run out and buy chalk, just take a tea bag and dilute it, put a paintbrush in it, and because then what I do is I just run it along my fabric to kind of rust it up a little bit, give it a little bit of brown so it's not so white looking. But tea would do wonders on this. So a little tea bag, got to put my bell in better, little tea bag, and kind of brown it up a little bit. I'm sure it's going to be hard to see on camera. Okay, so like I said, I mean, if you're a scrapbooker, you have inks, probably use your chalk ink. If you're not, a little diluted tea, paintbrush, paint it on. So probably going to be hard to see. Let me bring my camera down. So I've inked this, but I'm going to put the white one next to it. So now can you see how much whiter this is and how that has a little bit of a brown tone to it? So that's kind of what that ink or tea will do to those fabric pieces. Okay, and you can certainly do it on all of these things too. It just adds that little bit more of rustic character. Okay, so we have all our fabric pieces on. Now we're going to start designing. You're basically going to take anything that you like, any picks you like, from Dollar Tree, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, anything. I usually like to kind of go for the snowy stuff. I like to use pine cones. I'll use kind of big pine cones, little pine cones. Use a lot of pine cones. It's great filler. Bits and pieces of different kind of snowy looking picks. I like to use rusty bells. These aren't ones that I rusted. Rusty bells. This came off of a pick even. It's a snowy looking stick. I'm going to cut that up. I've even got like a rusty snowflake. I purchased these at like Hobby Lobby. Joann's has great picks that had like these wooden leaves on it, as well as these tiny wooden log slices. I'm going to use some of those. I may or may not use some of this. This was a kind of burlap poinsettia I got at Walmart for like $1.48. I may cut some of the little leaves off of that. You're just going to decorate how you like it. I'm also going to take some of my rusty wire. I've got a piece here. I'll do a couple more. I'm going to curl it up so I can intertwine that in as well. Also, I like to make cute little candy canes to put in there. So basically all you do, red and white pipe cleaners, cut them in half, twist it together. You can make them as big or as little as you want. You can buy them already made, but you know, usually like Dollar Tree you can get a ton of these pipe cleaners. So And then, I was going to bring that up so I can kind of see how big I got. And you just twist it down into a cute little candy cane. Alright, and then, yes, usually what I'll do, and you can take your tea and do the same thing, I'm just going to ink up the candy cane so it's not so white and looks a little more dirty and rustic looking. And again, you do not have to do any of this if you want yours more clear or clean. Maybe you want to make a shabby chic one. It's all up to you what style you want. Okay, and then I've also got like some larger rusty bells I want to use. These, I've been looking, Hobby Lobby is not getting them back in, but it's rusty stars on a wire. And then I love to use, Hobby Lobby has these. They're these like beaded berries. Love these. But you know, you get what you can find or use what you want to use. I may even use, like this is off of a Dollar Tree pick. It's a little poinsettia. We'll see what happens. But like I said, use what you want to use. And so then what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut off just like one little piece of my rusty star garland. And I'm going to put it around a wire, kind of get that prepped and ready. So that'll give me a little bit more curly wire. Just adds a little something. There we go. So we got a little bit of that. And I want to curl up a couple more pieces of the rusty wire. The plain rusty wire. And yep, this video is definitely over an hour. I finished one camera card. I'm on the next. Try to finish it in about 1 hour and 20. See as fast as we can go here. I may, yeah, we'll just see what happens. Okay, the little piece of rusty wire, getting our hands all rusty. Definitely you can use gloves if you don't want to handle the rust, or if you don't want any rust at all, don't use rust. Use regular cute silver wire. Red bells, cute silver bells. Dollar Tree has all those. Oh, I know it. Now we're singing silver bells. Silver bells, silver bells, it's Christmas time in the city. Now also, and I can sing better than that. Also, I made just off of my computer a little tag that says I'll be back again someday. You can just print something off your computer, printed it onto paper that I've tea dyed. I'll try to find that link down below. I didn't create the process. I found a video for it, and you can just actually, you know, search for how to tea dye papers. And I really took it down to basically just water on the stove, boil it, I think like 8 tea bags, poured some cinnamon in it, let it simmer for a little bit, and then let it cool off. And then I dipped cardstock into that. And then I took it out of that and I laid it onto some towels and I just let it dry for a little bit. And then I think I put it in the oven and baked it, and then pulled it out, put it onto the towels, let it dry. But I think the gal that I learned from, she puts a whole bunch like cloves and all that stuff into it. But I think I just boiled tea bags, took the tea bags out, added a bunch of cinnamon, stirred it up, dipped my papers into it, laid it onto paper towels. You can let it kind of air dry or bake it, and I baked mine, but I will try and find that video for you. Or you can just print it onto like a light brown colored cardstock or paper. You can ink it up however you want with, you know, the little ink we use, however you want. You don't even have to put a tag on it. I'll be back again someday, okay? So let's start decorating. I've got some wire cutters here because I really like this huge pine cone. Going to start with that first. I usually will start with kind of the pine cones first because they are a great space filler, as well as some of the picks. I love picks that look like this because the wire works well, kind of bending and stuff like that around like your ribbon and everything. Boy, you need some industrial wire cutters for this, I'll tell you that. There we go. So let's see where I want to start. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is actually start with some picks, and I'm just going to kind of glue right in and around that bow. I'm going to add, like, I like this pick. It's basically however you want to do it. Take your picks, start your gluing. Actually, I might kind of glue that in first. Okay, I'm going to glue that in first, right around that bow. Perfect. I like that first. Let's glue that first. Right on top of that fabric, right on that ribbon. Kind of bend it in there. Get that sucker in there. Okay, and then I'm going to get one of these right in and around that. Now it's just all a stuffing game. Just get it right up next to that and get that sucker in there. Now it's just a stuffing game, right? I think I'm going to put another one right down in... I'm going to save that for the back. Save that piece for the back. In fact, let's just glue that in right now along the back. Right in under that ribbon, right there. Just like that. Perfect. And got fuzzies on there from stuffing pillows. There we go. I think there, I'm going to put another one right in there. One of these picks. See, no rhyme or reason. Just glue those suckers in there until you like how it looks. Kind of do that one to the side a little bit. I've got a tiny little pine cone here. I'm going to actually go ahead and glue that in there. The steam is coming up from that hot glue. See, I'm going to glue that right in there. And I think I'm going to glue another one right in, right behind it, right here, just like that. There, that's going to help make that back side look finished off. I don't do too much on the back. I usually just a couple of picks and a couple of pine cones just to finish it off. There we go, just to give it something on the back, right? That looks perfect. That's all we need. Now we're going to go to the front and start working a little bit more. I love this huge pine cone. I think that's going to just go right off right in there. Let's see. Right under those ribbon pieces there. Move those up a little bit, kind of move them up and over your pine cone. Perfect. I'm going to lay a rusty bell right in there, or do I want it on top? I'm going to lay the big one on the bottom because I'll lay a little one on top. Let's see. I do want a little bit more of this though. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to see a tuck little piece right in there first. Little piece right in there. Tuck it right in. Perfect. See how just that symmetrical look? And then trying to decide, I might save that big bell for the side and use a smaller bow or smaller bell in front. Let's see what I've got here. Not quite happy with that yet. See, it's just all a guessing game. I'm going to do my little cute little candy canes here, just kind of tie them together so those are ready to go. I usually kind of like to fit those just right in there like that. Actually a little bit long, so I'm going to shorten them a little bit. I'm going to kind of turn them a little bit. Fit them right down in here. There we go. See, so it's just a little bit showing, but not a lot. Let's get some glue on it. And it looks good just to be stuffing, throwing stuff in there, stuffing and gluing, adding where you don't think you can add any more, but you can still find a spot. There we go. And I will turn that out a little bit so it looks like a candy cane, right? I've got this cute rusty snowflake. I'm going to stuff that in there somewhere when I get to it. I love this cute little wood slice. I'm definitely going to add that. Oh, right there. Look at that wood slice. It's perfect. Let's glue that sucker in. Wood slice is perfect. Glue it in. There we go. Oh, how cute is that? See, this is certainly looking cute. There we go. It's in there. Love my rusty beads, beaded berries. So I'll usually like maybe one out to the side here in the back, and maybe kind of one right in there. I'll make it look a little better, but bend that up a little bit. See how I like it in there. Let's see. Too many. I might just want one set up the side. I don't like that one's got something weird with it. One set up the side. Got it. Only one set. It's sticking to all my stuff down here. You get this. I know you can't see it. I'll show you in just a minute. There we go. Here we are, looking good. Stuffing those berries in. And it looks good from the front and the back. Right? I love these rusty bells on... I love these rusty bells on a wire. Let's see if I want to use all four or not. It's going to be too many. Let's just do 2 and see what it looks like. Super cute. We're going to come back to that one. Not sure yet. I'm going to put them in somewhere, but not sure yet. Definitely want to do a little bit of this fake wood trim with my wire cutters. See how that's going to look. It's too long, doesn't it? Just want a little bit. There we go. That's better. Just a little bit tucking out. And I think just kind of close together. I want that piece a little longer though, so I'm going to cut off of this other one so it's a little longer than the top one. There we go, just a couple little pieces poking out. Okay, I think I like 3 little pieces poking out here. Let's get those in there. I know, I'll glue and then show you because I know it's hard to see. There we go. 3 little pieces poking out. Super cute. Okay, we've got just a few more things I want to add, believe it or not. So let's get in some rusty bells. I'm going to put a little rusty bell in the back to kind of you know, match the rusty bells in the front. So just a little one sitting out there so it kind of matches the rest of the theme. Alright, and I'm going to use this rusty bell for kind of right where the bow and that stuff meets. Right in here, just like that. So you know we're matchy here, but not matchy, but matchy. Just got a couple more things left. Alright, and I think, yes, I'm going to add one more rusty bell on top of that bell, kind of right in here. Just like that. Right, I'm going to add a few pine cones down here in the front. Our little lone pine cone there isn't going to make it. Need a few more things in there. So another little pine cone right in here. Okay. And we're going to get a rusty bell in on top. We'll glue on the little stem, so to speak. Just about there, you guys. You just about made it. There we go. Got a nice little bell hanging in there on top of our pine cone. Hold it for a second. There we go. And one more pine cone. Things look good in threes when you're doing a trio. Or odd numbers, I guess. One more pine cone right in there. Perfect. Wrap that ribbon around. I do want to use my little rusty star. Poke that in here. Find a spot, poke it in, right? Perfect, right in there. Just so it's sticking out a ways, looking cute from the front. Rusty star. Okay, and I have a little spot here I don't quite like, so I'm going to actually go ahead and glue in a couple extra berries. And you of course don't have to add this much, it's just the way I do it. You can do as little or as much as you want. There we go. That just kind of fills in that spot nicely. And I've got my little bit of curly wire I do want to get in there, so I'm going to take it and kind of make a little point where I can tuck it in. A little bit of glue. I'm going to tuck it in right, and we'll just go right down in that center there. There we go. So you just see that little bit of curly wire poking out. And the last little thing, believe it or not, is we want to get our tag done. I'm going to go ahead, just to make it look a little more rustic, open my scissors, scrape it along the edge of the tag, and then I think, yes, I'm going to go ahead and make just like a little pointy spot here. I'm going to cut the edges, just kind of look like a tag, just so I can glue in better. And then what I'm going to do is a little bit of nice little bending and flexing, make it look a little bit old. So it's got a little bit of a wave to it, and I'm going to glue it right in around where that bell is, right in there, just like that. So it's kind of tucked out to the side there. Yep, or do I want to come in a little, nope, I'm going to go to the back. I'm going to make it a little bit, I can see already, thinner in there. Alright, let's get this guy glued. Okay, I'm going to do it down here. I'll show you when I'm done. Get right in there, just so it's nicely tucked in there. There we go. And there it is. I'll be back again someday. So, an hour and a half later, we have finished our Frosty hat. You guys asked for it. You got it. It's a long tutorial. Sorry about that, but hope it was worth the wait. I hope you try these. Like I said, use as little as you want, as much as you want. Just fill it in, make it rusty, make it shabby, however you want to do it. If you have any questions, please go ahead and comment down below. I will answer as best as I can. Leave a comment. Tell me what you like best about this hat. Okay. Oh my gosh, you know what? I lied. We have about 3 more minutes. There's a couple more things that have to go on this hat. I can't believe I almost forgot. Can't believe I almost forgot. I like to add a little bit of snow on my hat. So what I have here is my salt and glitter mixture. I've had a lot of comments on this. Basically, I use a kosher salt. It's by the Diamond brand because it's a smaller size kosher salt. A lot of people use Epsom salts. They're small. Table salt is too fine. Rock salt is too big. I just dump however much I want in a bowl, and then I pour in white, extra fine white glitter, and I just keep pouring in a little bit at a time, and I keep mixing it until I see the glitter kind of shimmer through the salt, and it's done. That's all there is to this mixture. And so what I do to put it on the hat, I actually use a spray adhesive. Okay, so I just kind of take the spot. So I think I'm going to add a little bit up in this area, and I'm going to get just a little piece of paper below. I'm going to add a little bit kind of up on this tip. All right, and I'm just going to spray a little bit there, and I'm just going to salt glitter mixture, and of course I will tap off the excess. I do not leave it this thick. And you can take off as little as you want. So there's that little bit of kind of salt look, and I usually do it like in 3 spots. So I think I'm going to add a little bit down on this brim, kind of a triangular vision. I'm going to add a little bit down on the brim. Right, again. Just going to glob it on because I, don't know where it kind of sprays. I know a general area, but there you go. I don't seal over it. I just kind of let it be there. So, you might have a little bit of fallout, but I leave it. All right, and then I'm going to just do a little bit to the back, kind of right in here. Maybe even a little bit on that pine cone. Just so it's got a little bit of a snowy look. And I think I sprayed it somewhere in that area. Might have sprayed a little bit more up on the pine cone, so get it in there. Okay, now we're done. So now we've got our little bit of snow going on. Perfect. How does that look? That finishes it off. So again, I hope you enjoyed this rather long tutorial. Comment down below. Tell me what you liked best about this. If you have any questions, please ask me. Like I said, I'll help you as best I can. I'll have all my social media links down below. Come follow me there. I will post this on Instagram, so if you come follow me there and you want to see some close-up photos, I will have that there for you. Remember to subscribe to my channel. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.